Smarandasya Jnanam Janashalakaya Chakshuanmilitam Chena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Namaho Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nityana Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharya Nirvishesha Shanyavadi Paschatya Deshatani Jayase Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasa Gauranga Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, 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 H Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Namah. Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Namah, Hare Namah, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare Namah, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hero, Ganga, Nitai Gaura Hariva, 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 Nitai Gaura Hariva, Nitai Gaura Hariva, 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 Nitai Gaura Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Jai Prabhupada. Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Jai
Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharane Navasesha Sanyavadi Pashatya Desatane Om Ganitamirandasya Jana Jana Salakaya Chakshusabilitan Lena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah Sri Caitanya Manovistam Stapitam Lena Bhutale Sayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Sapatantikam Vanchakopachurvascha Kripasindhuvayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Hare Krishna. Last week we heard how Caitanya Mahaprabhu had met all the devotees from Mayapur, Navadvip, from Bengal, when they had arrived in Jagannath Puri. Previously, Maharaj Pratapuja, Gopinath Acharya, and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya had observed the devotees from on top of the king's palace. And they were astounded by two things. Does anyone remember the two things, or either of the two things? Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's another one. Yes. They didn't follow the usual rules and regulations for entering a holy place of pilgrimage. Instead of bathing, shaving one's head, and seeing the deities and fasting, they immediately went to see Caitanya Mahaprabhu. And there was a discussion about that. And the conclusion was, when one has spontaneous love for the Supreme Lord, then the rules and regulations that are meant to elevate one to the platform of love, they aren't applicable in the same way when one actually has that love. Yes. But what was another one that really impressed the king? Yes. The kirtan. Yeah. Do you remember the name of the kirtan, what it was called? Premanama. Premanama kirtan. It was not just chanting ritualistically or superficially, but it was chanting with such great love. And when one chants in that way, Krishna is actually fully present in his holy names. He's always there, but one is able to perceive. Yes, and there was one other thing. Yeah. Yes, yes. And one other one. That they were so effulgent. The soul itself, the soul was shining through. They were pure and effulgent. And nowadays, when one sees the people of this world, because of the modes, the lower modes of material nature, Rajatama, that covers them due to their activities. Not all the people, obviously, but so many of the people, especially so many of the young people are so destroyed. You well know this. And the natural effulgence coming from the natural purity of who they actually are as souls is covered by the activities of Rajagun, mode of passion, and Tamagun, the mode of ignorance. And because of that, their lifespan is so much reduced. And one can see that when one looks at them even. But these devotees, so pure, they were chanting and living, and their lives were full of love for Krishna, sweet Krishna, Caitanya Mahaprabhu, and Krishna. And they were so effulgent and that surprised, shocked Maharaj Pataprudra, even though he was a king who naturally has charisma. Charisma means power, Shakti. But still, he was amazed at the effulgence, the power emanating from these devotees, which is the natural power of the soul, effulgent. And that's brought out by living in Sattva Gun, to speak of Shuddha Sattva, transcendental goodness. And yet the whole world nowadays, there's no distinction between what's a good activity or a bad activity or what's good for you practically. Or at least there's one group of people who say that postmodernism, it's called, where you have to, there's no absolute reference point. There's no point where you can say, well, higher authorities say that this is what good is and this is what's bad is, this is a good activity, this is a bad activity. No one accepts any reference point in that way. Everyone has to decide for themselves. This is postmodernism. Everyone had, and you see that anytime, if you ever, I used to, not so much anymore. You look at on different camera review websites. It's the oddest thing that people are talking about in the forums. They're talking about one camera, or they're talking about a lens for that camera. And invariably, one person will say, this is a great lens and have great results. And then another person will say, it's a terrible lens. And they end up fighting over a lens. And they call each other terrible names. And if they were together, it would probably choke each other or something. It's over a camera lens, what to speak of politics and religion. Camera lens. So this is Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga, and everyone just has an opinion about everything, and they think that their opinion is true, because this is how they see things. But in reality, our view of anything is from a point, one point only, because we're tiny. We only see from our point of view, the point of view of one soul. And that's called a viewpoint. So if we have a sphere, not even a circle, but like a ball, how many, did we ask this question last week? I vaguely remember that. How many points are there on a ball, any sphere? No, how many points are possible on a ball? Unlimited number. So out of these unlimited number of possible viewpoints, looking at reality, we have one of them. Each one of us has one. And it's completely different from everyone else's. Do you understand what I meant by that? There's a ball, and how many possible points could you put a pin in, for example? Unlimited. Yeah, no, I meant pinpoints like that. So unlimited, and we see reality from our one point of view, 1 point out of unlimited, and we think we are correct, but we're not correct. We just see from one point of view, viewpoint that's called. And who sees from every point of view? Exactly, because he's Savagya. He knows everything. He sees from all points of view. He has unlimited knowledge, and therefore, as I've heard Prabhupada say so many times, we accept his conclusion about what reality is, Krishna's conclusion, as spoken in Bhagavad Gita. So they saw these great souls, Maharaj, the king who was so powerful, actually, and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, who was so learned, and Gopinath Acharya, who was such a great devotee. They saw the devotees, and then they saw the devotees going to the home of Caitanya Mahaprabhu. They were so enthusiastic, so eager, so desirous of seeing him. And then they even had to, if one knows Jagannath Puri, you have to walk past the single door, the entrance into the temple, to get to the place where Mahaprabhu was staying, the house of Kashi Misra, Kambira. So then, amazingly enough, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he came out to meet them. Because, and this point is so, my understanding, my opinion, so important to understand and accept that if we love Krishna and if we are eager to see him, he's not just sitting there on his throne like this. Oh, you've come to see me. Oh, you're very fortunate. No, Krishna's Bhaktavatsalya Atma Prajanta Avadanyata, that he is eager to be with his devotees. He leans towards his devotees. And as the Bhagavatam teaches us, Srimad Bhagavatam, that he's even controlled or conquered by his devotees, the unlimitedly powerful. How powerful is unlimitedly powerful? You can't estimate. Infinitely powerful. There's no end to his power. There's no end to his beauty. And so is it possible to control someone who's unlimitedly powerful? Because if you have someone who's this size and then someone who comes who's this size, he's more powerful than that one, so he can control him and make him do what he wants. But who can control someone who's unlimitedly powerful? But Krishna can be controlled, is controlled by, and wants to be controlled by his devotees' love. So when the devotees came, Mahaprabhu was also eager to see them, and he embraced Advaita Acharya, and then gave them all garlands, and then gave them chandan, sandalwood paste, and then he brought them to his house. He sat them all down, and was the house, what were you going to say?
200 people in one room.
Yes. It was crowded, but no one cared because they were with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to speak to each and every one of them individually. And And what do you, and he knows everything. So do you think he said, typed their name in on his computer? And he said, last week, you weren't acting very nicely, were you? And he said all the bad things that everyone had done. No, that's not what Krishna is like at all. Rather, he glorified his devotees. He's a person, a supreme lover of his devotees. Aishwarya Madhurya Krune Sarupa Purnata. He is the complete ocean. His sarup, his very nature, is filled with Aishwarya, opulence, and Madhurya, sweetness. But these two aren't the best of his qualities. So sweet, so opulent, but Bhakta Vatsalya, that he's the devotee of his devotees, Atma Prajanta Vedanyata, that's the best quality. That means he's even leans towards, he's favorable to his devotees. He gives up his impartiality. You know what impartiality means? Yes, Linda, give us a definition of impartiality. He's equal, because God, Sarvaham Sarvabhuteshu, he's equal to everyone. This is described in the 7th canto, 1st chapter. He's equal to everyone. If someone's a good person or a bad person, a demon, or he's equal to everyone. He's kind to everyone. He only cares for everyone's benefit. That's impartiality. So now you know what impartiality means. And partiality means you favor one person or another because you like them more for one reason or another. You favor them. So impartiality means you don't favor anyone. So Krishna gives up his impartiality when he deals with his devotees. He favors them. Do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing? Do you think? Especially if you're a devotee. But it's also said that even if you're an asura, a demon, when Krishna chastises you, he only does that for your benefit. So he's always kind to everyone, but for his devotees, he's controlled by them. He becomes conquered. The all-powerful becomes conquered by his devotees. It's so important that we trust this and experience, trust born of experience, or just accept it. It's so important that we trust this point because we're asked, as Krishna asks, Savadhamam Prityaja in the Bhagavad Gita, to give yourself to him. Give up everything and just become my devotee. And then he says, Aham tvam sarva pape mokshasami. I will take care of you. Masuja, do not fear, do not hesitate, do not worry. So for one to trust this, unless one trusts it, that if I give myself to Krishna, then Krishna will take care of me, unless one trusts that, one cannot really give oneself to Krishna. Because when someone is asked naturally, Krishna says, give yourself to me, you become my devotee, madmana bhava madbhakta. Then naturally one thinks, if one doesn't have love for Krishna, one thinks, well, if I just dedicate my life to pleasing Krishna, the question comes up, what's the question that comes up?
What about me?
Yeah, what about me? Who's going to take care of me? And that's the fear of being in the material world is based on that. How am I going to survive? How am I going to prosper? Who's going to take care of me? And the answer is, well, the same person who's taking care of you now is going to be the person who takes care of you then. I mean, you're not causing yourself to breathe, and some people try very hard to have food and they end up with none. So it's not the work that does it. It's always Krishna, the ultimate Anumanta. He's the permitter. Upadesthanu, mantacha. So anyway, it's so important, at least my understanding at this point in my life, that we must learn to trust in Krishna. And why is it so important when one becomes elderly or even old? Is because at some point, and the reason why this is on my mind is because some of my very dear and old friends are going through difficult times. And people are leaving this world all the time continuously. But unless we learn to trust Krishna, this is the most terrifying thing. The ultimate terrifying thing is death. And it can't be just theoretical that, oh, Krishna's going to... Because then when one himself gets into a situation, then one sees that some theoretical knowledge is insufficient to control one's mind, which when terror hits the mind, terror of something going wrong that's out of control. And that's why the people, the demonic mentality in the Bhagavad Gita is Ishwaraham. I'm trying to control everything. People try to control everything because they don't want things to get out of control. And why don't they want things to get out of control? Is because then you don't know what's going to happen to you. So everyone tries to control, not everyone, tries to control everything. But what's the problem with trying to control everything? Oh, yes, you can't, in case you haven't understood that yet. You can't. And when you control a little bit and you gain something by Krishna's mercy, you think, oh, yes, and but no one has good luck continuously. There's a story of the Chinese sage Confucius. You've heard of Confucius? Chinese sage Confucius. In Cantonese, his name is Confucius. So he used to use a divination method, a way of telling the future. So when he threw it, he got perfect peace. And because he was wise, as soon as he got perfect peace, the topmost peace, he was completely in anxiety because he knew that not going to last. So when you're at the top, there's only one way to go, and that's down. So he got, immediately he was in anxiety. Do you follow? Because one can't. Yeah, that's the nature of the material world. The very nature of the material world. One day everyone is praising you as you're great, and then the next day they're all criticizing you, and the next day no one even notices you exist, and then the next day this happens, and the next day this happens. And when people say how wonderful you are, you feel good, and when people say how terrible you are, you feel bad, and you're angry at them. This is the nature of the material world. So we want to learn, oh yes, when I talk about the nature of the material world as, like a bad place and things, when you're young like you, even though you're an old soul, you're in a young body, you shouldn't become afraid of the material world. You have to do something in the material world. You have to do something wonderful for Krishna. So don't become afraid of the material world, okay? Because if you have Krishna, you can do something very wonderful. So sometimes when I talk about, material world, like Bhagavad Gita, Dukkalaya, Shashvatama, Nitya Sukhamlok, I ask the kids to close their ears. And of course that makes them want to listen even more. Because when you're young, the youthful enthusiasm should be to not do anything in the material world because it's a miserable place and you can't win, and it's always this and always that. When you're young, you want to do something for Krishna or yourself, or just do something wonderful. It's a better way to think when you're young. But then when you're older already, you realize that the very nature of the material world it's not the place that I'm looking for happiness, in fact. So anyway, Caitanya, so the point that I was making in this long tangent was that it's important to learn to use our life to trust Krishna, to learn how to trust Krishna. That's what life's purpose is. So, yeah, to learn how to trust Krishna. Yes. So, to trust Krishna, we're seeing how much Krishna loves his devotees. So this is him interacting with his devotees. So first he saw Advaitacharya and he just had such a sweet exchange. We read this last week. He said, today, Advaitacharya, who was a devotee of Caitanya Mahaprabhu, he himself is great. But he said, today, because you have arrived, I'm feeling perfect. Everything is right. Before I was missing you, something was lacking in my life. Of course, nothing can be lacking in the Supreme Lord. He's Param Sattvam, the absolute truth. But this is just the sweetness of the dealings. And then Advaitacharya replied, this is a natural characteristic, swabhavahai. This is the swabhav, the actual nature of the Supreme Lord, of the Supreme Personality of God. Although he is personally complete and full in all opulence, he takes transcendental pleasure in the association of his devotees, with whom he has a variety of eternal pastimes. He has an individual relationship with every single devotee, and he has different kinds of exchanges. Because he's unlimited, he can deal individually with every single soul. And even though a conditioned soul would like to feel himself the center of everything, and everyone thinking him as the center, we can't relate with every single person, especially those that we don't like at all. It's hard to relate with them. If I'm using some words that you don't understand, you can write down those words, okay? If you're not clear about the meaning, and then after we can discuss, okay? Okay. So there's, in that one statement of Advaitacharya and the exchange between Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu and Advaitacharya, there's so much meaning. And actually everything that I've said before, everything that I've said up till now is just an expansion of that simple exchange between Advaitacharya and the Lord when Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu says to him, until I've seen you, I've been feeling incomplete. Now I'm feeling so happy. And Advaitacharya said, well, this is the nature, the inconceivable, almost seemingly contradictory nature that the Lord possesses, that although he's complete, still he loves to exchange with his devotees. So this can be understood from the point of view of tattva, of philosophy, and from the point of view of rasa, of sweetness. So now he's going to exchange with other devotees too. He sees, as soon as Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu saw Vasudev Datta, this is a very interesting exchange. The elder brother of Mukunda Datta, he immediately became very happy. And placing his hand on his body, he touched him. He began to speak. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu said, although Mukunda is my friend from childhood, they grew up together, and they were school friends, Mukunda Datta and Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. I nonetheless take greater pleasure in seeing you, the elder brother, than in seeing him. Now, it's interesting because it's very sweet what he's saying to Vasudev Datta. even though my school friend, who I've known since I was a child, I'm so happy to see him, but I get more pleasure of seeing you. So first question is, or at least I would ask, I wonder how Mukundadatta feels about that. And we'll hear what Mukundadatta says after. Now, another question is, he had so much affection for Mukundadatta, but because he was his old school friend, but he even had still more affection for Vasudevadatta. So say if his affection for Mukundadatta was 10 out of 10, so his affection for Vasudevadatta was maybe 12 or 13 out of even more than 10 out of 10, say. So one point is that if someone gets more mercy than us, we should understand that we still have the same amount of mercy. It doesn't mean that our mercy is less, although everyone likes to be number one. Sorry, everyone can't be number one because then there would be no meaning to be number one, right? And anyway, the position's already taken by Krishna and Srimati Radharani, and in the 8th chapter of Madhya Lila, all the gopis. Well, it's also in the 3rd canto of the Bhagavatam when the 4 Kumars are going to Vaikuntha. I'll tell you that one first. When they're going to Vaikuntha, it's described that there are so many fragrant plants in the spiritual world. But the topmost plant is, the topmost meaning, the one that gives Krishna the most pleasure, is which plant? Raise your hand. Everyone knows it. Yes. Tulsi, yes, thank you. Did you know that also? Do you know it now? Which plant gives Krishna the most pleasure? Yeah. If they ask you that in school on your exam, now you know what to say. So there are so many other fragrant plants. Now, if I was one of those fragrant plants, I'd be very upset that Tulsi pleases Krishna the most. But what is the quality of being in Vaikuntha that makes all the other plants acknowledge Tulsi's supreme position and not become upset? What is the quality in the spiritual world that allows this to happen? Wait, you have to raise your hand. Yeah.
They always keep Krishna at the center instead of themselves.
Yeah, but what is the quality? What isn't there? Yes. Then there's no envy in the spiritual world. There's no envy in the spiritual world. And therefore, all the plants, Krishna is most pleased by Tulsi. How wonderful that Krishna is pleased, as you said. There's no envy. Envy means you see someone who has something that you don't have, and then you want them to come down. Jealousy means you want to have that, but envy is you want to push them down. And that's one of the main qualities of the material world. But in the spiritual world, there's no envy. Everyone is happy when Krishna is happy. And Srila Narottama Das Thakur compares envy to like a spear in the heart. Now, you may have so many wonderful things, but if you have a spear in the heart, you can't be happy. So if we have envy in the heart, we can't be happy. So in Goloka Vrindavan, in the spiritual world, who is the topmost one who pleases Krishna? Do you know who? Little one? Who is the topmost one who pleases Krishna? Does anyone else know? Yeah. Who said that? Yeah. Now, if anyone else would have said that, I would have made them sit in the corner because they didn't raise their hand first. But it's okay. In your case, that's so wonderful. It's Srimati Radharani. But how do the gopis feel about that? They're always trying to bring Radha and Krishna together. There's no envy in Goloka Vrindavan. Everyone's concerned with what pleases Krishna. And if something pleases Krishna, they want to do that. That's what love is. And there can't be envy in that situation. So Mahaprabhu said to Vasudev Datta that I get so much more pleasure seeing you than Mukunda. So that means also that Mahaprabhu knew the quality of Mukunda Datta, that there was no envy in his heart. Now, so what quality did Vasudev Datta have that caused Mahaprabhu to show him and experience so much happiness upon seeing him? Does anyone know? You have to raise your hand. Do you know that one?
What's that?
No, okay. But soon you will know it. Yes.
Compassion.
He was full of compassion to such a degree that he said that I will take all the suffering of all the sinful folks of this world and experience that suffering and let them be free and go back to Godhead. Now, that's a lot of suffering. I mean, it's not a romantic thing that, oh yes, I will take all the suffering. Until the suffering starts happening, then you don't know, why did I say that? That's practically, that's unlimited suffering. So who has that kind of heart, that kind of compassion? Only the greatest of devotees are willing to tolerate their own suffering to stop another person's suffering. Only a great devotee can be like that. Because the natural quality of a conditioned soul is selfishness. And there was one old Bengali gentleman in Vrindavan who used to say that I'm the worst kind of fish, a selfish. Not a shellfish, but a selfish. And even everywhere in this world, if someone is very generous, they're given so much respect. Because everyone appreciates a generous-hearted person. And no one appreciates a selfish person, except his friends who are also selfish, but want to get something from him. That's the way of the world. They go, yes, 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 they say, but there's no love there. I once heard a little story told by His Holiness Radha Govinda Maharaj. He said, in some village somewhere, there was a Qazi, Muslim magistrate, who was very, very cruel. And when his dog died, the whole village went to the funeral. And then he died, and no one went to the funeral. Now, who's going to give the purport on that? You have to raise your hand. You get that one, Darren?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Well, he was still alive, and so they were scared of him,
Yeah,
and so they honoured his dog, even though they didn't really. And when he died, he has no power anymore, and they have no need to be scared of him.
and therefore, who cares about this fellow? We're happy he's better he's gone. That's the nature of the affectionate dealings with one's boss. Oops, except for you, Premananda. So Vasudeva Datta was so compassionate and ready to undergo difficulties if it would. He himself was ready to undergo difficulties to save another person from undergoing difficulty. Now, everyone take a moment, and this isn't going to be the one where I ask you to raise your hand, but think how much you're like that or how much you're not like that. Undergo difficulties to help another. Yeah, so again, this was the quality that Vasudeva Datta had. And then it goes on further. Then Vasudeva replied, now he's just said, Mahaprabhu has just said that you're more dear to me than your younger brother. Now, how is Vasudeva, is he going to say, yes, you're correct? No, he's not going to say that. He's going to say, Mukunda got your association in the beginning. They were school friends. As such, he has taken shelter of your lotus feet. And that is his transcendental birth, rebirth. So because he was with you, and therefore he was, and I only met you because of him, therefore he took birth before me. So therefore he is the older brother, and I am the younger brother. You get it? Yeah. And I've seen this, I mean, it's not in place anymore so much. It's so hard to keep big families together, even in India nowadays. Like you see this, because when we, raise your hand if you've ever been to Loy Bazaar in Vrindavan. Yeah. No? Yes. And there used to be one of the first cloth shop that became popular was Ganga Prasad amongst the Westerners. And he became very wealthy. And he had sons, maybe 3 or 4 sons. And he kept the whole family together. He was a very nice devotee. I remember asking him if I said to him, I've heard that you never leave Vrindavan. He was already elderly, not even to go to Mathura. And I said, so you won't even go to Mathura? And he said, why should I go to Kamsa's place? He said it was such. So, and then he had many sons. And in the old culture, and I saw this in Jagannath Puri once, there were the pujari of Tota Gopinath temple. He had 3 sons named Gopinath, Jagannath, and Baladev. And when he passed away, the eldest son had so much authority just because he was the eldest son that he was the head of the family, and the 2 younger sons had to listen to him. But those days are really gone. So, but it was just, that's part of the culture. Is it still like that in your family?
Yes.
Yeah. Is it like that in your family? No.
Well, I'm the youngest, so I don't listen.
Lalita, does your brother listen to you? See, that's nowadays the key of being a good leader is find out what people want and tell them to do what they want, and then they will all follow you because they're going to do what they want anyway. So now in Ganga Prasad, all his children, they fought in Ras Biharilal, all these different shops. So had children, all their family, the brothers just end up fighting with each other and opening their own shops. They can't. In Kali Yuga, it's so hard to cooperate. So hard to cooperate. So after a while, after fighting, no, it should be done this way. It should be done this way. No, we should do it this way. And you're taking too much. And no, I want more of and I'm doing all the work. Fighting and fighting. They said, okay, you can have one shop, and I'll have another shop, and another shop. That way, at least we don't fight. but they end up competing with each other. And that's and what Prabhupada wanted. That's why he said, because he said he wanted us, right when he was leaving this world, he was asked, do you want all the devotees from all over the world to come? Everyone loves you, Prabhupada. And Prabhupada replied, the test of how much they love me will be how much they cooperate to keep this movement together after I leave. A very hard test. Because what happens, what do you have to cooperate? This is so far from what I was thinking I was going to be talking about, but what does it take to cooperate? Yes.
It takes two things.
Yes.
It takes the ability to listen to the opinions of others.
Yes.
And put them, the second thing is to put them in front of your own.
Even though you may think that's not the best way, or even though you may have to pay a price. It's called being unselfish. The cooperation is, and keeping the family together is more important than either doing it this way or doing it that way. Even if you get success more doing it this way than that way, you really lose more if you lose the cooperation. Not easy to be so unselfish and tolerant. And the only way to be that is to know that I want to please this person more than I want to get my way, or more than I want to avoid this kind of pain. I want to please this person. That's love. And that's what Prabhupada said, the test of how much you love me. Because when you love someone, you're willing to do anything to help them, to make them happy. So when we have these kind of standards, when we have these kind of high standards, then the result is, at least I can say, not always cooperation, but it's humility. Because when you have a high standard, you realize I'm about down here. And humility and prema are the same. Srila Sanatana Goswami says. So thus Vasudeva Datta admitted his inferiority to Mukunda, his younger brother. Although Mukunda is my junior, he said, he first received your favor. Consequently, he became transcendentally senior to me. Beside that, you very much favor Mukunda. Thus, he is superior in all good qualities. So he refused to accept that he was better than his brother. And then his brother would say, no, you are so much better than me. No. So this is the small spiritual dealings based on introspectively knowing one is insignificant and full of faults, and also just knowing how to keep sweet dealings amongst ourselves. And then the Lord said to Vasudeva Datta, for your sake only, Puna Prabhu Kohe Ami Tomar Nimitte, for your sake, meeting you, Dui Pushtak Aniyatse. I've brought 2 books for you. Just 2 books, Dakshina Hoite, from South India, because Mahaprabhu, when he traveled in South India, he found 2 books, and he carried those books with him, had them copied and carried them with him. And when he meets Vasudeva Datta, who knows the name of one of those books? Raise your hand. Yes? Yes. Yeah, that's the one book, but there's another one. What's the other book? Only Jagatrini Mataji knows. Oh, Jagatrini! What was the name of the second book? Huh? How are you? Good morning. What was the name? There were two books that Caitanya Mahaprabhu found when he toured South India. Yes, Krishna Karnamrita and Brahma Samhita. So what is the meaning of Krishna Karnamrita? It's translated into English. Krishna,
Krishna, the nectar, Amrita, Karna, hearing through the ear of Krishna.
so this was written by whom?
Paramanga Thakur.
Yes.
Got a squealing monkey.
Yeah, it sounds like a squealing monkey in the other room. And it's all about Krishna, about this devotee who he made himself blind, and then he wanted to go to Vrindavan, and Krishna himself brought him to Vrindavan, and he would feed him, and he was always thinking about Krishna. He was always absorbed in thoughts of Krishna. So his thinking about Krishna and his interactions with Krishna are written in this book of Krishna Karnamrita, the nectar for the ears, the Amrita for the ears about Krishna. So that's a very book that's very sweet and intimate, and Brahma Samhita is more philosophical, telling the whole philosophy of Caitanya Mahaprabhu. So Mahaprabhu himself, when he saw probably countless books, but he collected these two, took these two, and brought him back and carried them himself back. And then as soon as he saw Vasudeva Datta, he said, I brought these for you, of all people. All of those hundreds of people, he said that to Vasudeva Datta. And so what do you think the other devotees thought? You have to raise your hand again. What do you think the other devotees thought? Yes.
How lucky Vasudeva Datta must be.
Yes, he was so lucky. What else? Yes.
They were happy for him.
Yes. Mahaprabhu loves him so much. How wonderful, how fortunate he is. What else could they have thought? I mean, what would everyone think? Yes.
What is in the books?
Yeah, how can I get one of those books? I also want to read them. Mahaprabhu carried them all the way from South India, handed it to this very humble, compassionate devotee. I wonder if he'll give me a copy. I have my pen drive with me. But instead of having a pen drive, you need a pen. In those days, you had to copy it. So after that, the books are being kept with Swarup Damodar, and you can get them copied. Hearing this, Vasudeva became very, yes, anandita, filled with happiness, jubilation, filled with bliss. Indeed, each and every Vaishnava copied the two books by and by. So if Vasudeva Datta, now say if he gave it to me, now and some Prabhu, could I have one of the books? I want to copy it tomorrow, maybe, because right now I want to. But Vasudeva Datta was so generous-hearted, so he gave them to Vasudeva Datta because through Vasudeva Datta everyone would get it. By and by, the two books, the Brahma Samhita and Sri Krishna Karnamrita, were broadcast all over India. Okay, now there's one after the next. Mahaprabhu interacts with these devotees. How nice, sweet interactions, sweet interactions. I'll just read quickly what he said to Srivas. To Srivas, he was living, he was Mahaprabhu's neighbor in Navadvip. The Lord addressed Srivas and his brothers with great love, and he affectionately said, he had 3 brothers, I believe, I'm so obliged that I am purchased by you 4 brothers. I am purchased by you 4 brothers. That means I am yours now, because the nature of your love has made me your property. And what you can do with whatever you want with your property. This is Mahaprabhu speaking. These are the dealings. And after seeing Shankara, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Damodar, he's another 2 brothers, my affection for you is on the platform of awe and reverence. This comes out later. It explains why. Therefore, keep your younger brother Shankara with you, because his connection to me, he is connected to me by pure unalloyed devotion. And Damodar replied, Shankara is my younger brother, but from today he becomes my elder brother, my superior, because of your special mercy on him. So in this way, he was chastising Damodar Pandit a little bit. Because what would cause Mahaprabhu to feel awe and reverence? This is described later towards him, because he would correct Mahaprabhu. And Mahaprabhu would accept it, but he chastised him subtly. You shouldn't be doing this. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Any questions or comments? Yes.
The Mukunda that we're talking about, is he the same Mukunda that Lord Chaitanya, when he saw him and he was going the other way, because he didn't want to argue with him? Is that the same?
I think so. As far as I know, yes. Because he said he was his school friend. So when Mahaprabhu was in Navadvip before, he started acting as a devotee. Mahaprabhu would, being such an incredible genius, he would see all his friends and all the devotees, and he would challenge them to some logical debate and defeat them. And so when they saw him coming, they would walk on the other side of the street. And all of them, and they were all great scholars, and still they didn't want to have to deal with this arrogant Brahmin boy. Yeah, any other questions or comments? Yes.
Wasn't there another Mukunda, the one
Yeah.
that asked his son to do an offering and he went away and the son actually was so upset that Krishna wouldn't eat the offering and then he did eat the offering, his father and son.
That was in Sri Khanda, in Khanda. Yeah, that's a different one. When his son was Raghananda. Yeah, that deity is still there, Sri Khanda, that has the sweet rice or the something in his hand. Have you been there yet? Would you like to go? It's in Bengal. And there's a whole group of devotees headed by Narahari Sakar from Sri Khanda, and they all came to see Mahaprabhu. That was a different Mukunda. Any other questions or comments?
You mentioned the point about impartiality, and then you mentioned 7th canto.
First chapter.
And so could you elaborate a bit more on how is Krishna impartial, but then not impartial?
Well, the question came when Sisupal was described to Maharaj Yudhisthira was present when Krishna cut off the head of Sisupal, after Sisupal had criticized him, blasphemed him 100 times, I think it was 100. Then on the 100th time, he cut off his head. So Maharaj Yudhisthira said, God has to be impartial. he can't have friends and enemies. He's the father of everyone. So how was he how did he make Sisupal an enemy? And when the Pandavas were his friends. So if he has friends and enemies, just like an ordinary person, he's quite ordinary, the Supreme Lord. So that was Yudhisthira's question. So Narada Muni, he asked Narada Muni that, and Narada Muni told him that the seeming cruelty or hardness or anger at Sisupal was actually a benediction to him. So he benedicts everyone in different ways. But his intention is not someone is his friend, name dvesosti napriya. Someone is my friend and I'm kind to him, and someone is my enemy and I'm cruel to him. So that's because in the material world, you see that some people are born into wealthy families and some people are born into poverty-stricken families. So if you don't understand the law of karma, you either don't have an answer to that and think that God is just whimsical, or you think God is favoring one person and causing harm and difficulty for another person. So this shows that every action that Krishna makes is completely fair. So while he was seemingly being cruel to Sisupal, he was actually being kind to Sisupal. So he was being kind to Yudhisthira and the Pandavas in one way, and he was being kind to Sisupal in a different way. So out of that, to show how his seeming killing of Sisupal was an act of kindness, he ends up telling the story of Hiranyakashipu, who's Jai and Vijay, as described in the third canto. Is that clear? Okay, good. Okay, any last question or comment? Yes, Prabhu. You must have a question. Yeah? No, little one.
Thank you. No question, but I was just listening as I was driving here as well, so it was a mix of a few things. Was interested to understand a bit better these interactions of Mahaprabhu with is a part of Mahaprabhu's journey, isn't it, in Chaitanya Charitamrta? So what um, at what level Mahaprabhu was interacting with them? This may not be clear about my question.
Yeah, I'm not clear yet.
Just trying to understand that.
Okay, please try again. What about Mahaprabhu's journey?
Yeah, so at what level Mahaprabhu was interacting with them as a, of course not as a godly level or not as a supreme personality level, right?
As a devotee, because they were, oh, I see. See, these devotees he had known all from Bengal before, and he was chanting with them, and he had given them so much ecstasy in their dealings. So when he started the Sankirtan movement, the chanting, he was in the house of Srivas Thakur, and they would chant together, and these devotees were mostly there with him. So he had two moods when he was with them. One mood was that he was a humble devotee of the Lord, begging for mercy. And he had another mood, sometimes would come out that he's the Supreme Lord, and he would reveal himself as the Supreme Lord. So they knew that he was the Supreme Lord. All of them, hundreds of them, they knew he was the Supreme Lord. But his mood at this time is, I'm just a devotee.
Thank you. Thank you.
So when he was in one mood, they would interact with him, and he would go to them and beg them for mercy. But in another mood, he would sit and ask them to make offerings to him. But they didn't become confused. They just were amazed how the Supreme Lord is acting like like a devotee. And so that the depth of what that means was explained a little earlier in Caitanya Caritamrta, and will be revealed more, especially in the 13th chapter, Rathayatra chapter, how that he's a devotee, but wanting to taste the sweetness of Srimati Radharani's love from the point of view of the, in technical terms, the Ashraya Tattva, the reservoir of that love. But that's a whole technical subject. But it's coming soon. In the 12th chapter, when the cleaning of the Gandicha margin, they were cleaning the temple where Lord Jagannath, and he was in the complete mood of a devotee. Complete mood of a devotee. He was cleaning the temple with them. So at this time he's acting as a devotee, his mood. Hare Krishna. Okay, Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Sri Caitanya Charitamrita ki jai. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Maharaj ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Srila Prabhupada Bhaktivinoda ki jai.
We have a couple